everyone, welcome. I'm so happy to be doing another Thursday craft at home with you. Hope you're all well. If you were with us for last Thursday's craft, it was a little bit more involved, took quite a few materials. So this week I thought we'd do something a little simpler. So what we're going to be working on today is a decorative feather made from a book page or page of text. I wanted to give credit where credit is due. I found this craft idea on the craft blog homestoriesatoz.com. There were a lot of different great ideas using book pages or pages of text, so if you end up liking what we do today, I highly suggest that you go check out those great ideas. So let's go over our materials today. So I have my hot glue gun ready and plugged in. Again, if you don't have a hot glue gun, then using tape is absolutely okay. I have a pair of scissors. I have one page from a book. Now, the original craft pattern for this said to use a pipe cleaner, but you could really use anything around your house that's straight and has a little bit of stability. I had a paper straw on hand that you could definitely use, but what I'm going to be using today is a pen. I have been doing more journal writing than recently, so I thought it might be kind of fun to create my own quill for writing. But again, when I looked at this original craft pattern, what the original crafter had used it for was an accent for her mantelpiece. You can make a couple of these and store them in a glass jar, keep them on a writing desk, and a bookshelf, whatever you found fit. They can be used in a plethora of different ways. So let's get started. And just a quick note on this. So since I get most of my books from the Tulare Public Library, the few that I actually own myself are either because I read them multiple times or I've marked them as reference material, and I found it a little bit hard personally to be able to depart with one of my novel pages. So what I'm using today, as you'll notice, is a page out of a cookbook. One of the recipes that I know I will never be able to make just because I personally don't eat coconut. So I think that's a great idea if you're having trouble parting with your novel pages, to go ahead and use a page of text from a cookbook, from a magazine. The other thing that you can do to make it look even more beautiful and handwritten is take a blank page from a journal, find your favorite poem, and hand copy that poem onto the paper, and then you've got your page of text that you can use. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our page and fold it in half lengthwise. Okay, so now this is the folded edge. I'm gonna keep this near me, and what I wanna do is cut the two separate edges that are coming together here. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so the folded edge is here. Now to make this feather shape, you're gonna start in the bottom corner and end up in this top corner. We're gonna keep the shape narrow as we can, and just have it be like an oblong, almost like the shape of a canoe. And then I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like here as we unfold. Now, I'm doing this freehand, but if you felt a little bit more comfortable, you could always draw your shape out on the paper before cutting. Keep in mind, we're gonna be using the pieces, the two separate edges that we cut off, so just put those aside for now. And let me show you what this looks like when you unfold. So you'll notice we have the general shape of a feather here. The next step is to fold it back up. Again, this is gonna be my folded edge, and I'm gonna be cutting into the two separate edges, the oblong shape that we just created. I'm gonna start at the top and move towards the bottom. Now what I wanna do is angle my scissors so that they're facing down, and I'm just gonna be making small cuts along the edge here, just about 1/2 inch or 1 inch in. They don't have to be perfectly parallel. It's just so that you're creating this texture along the edge so that it gives the sense that it's a feather. Okay, all the way down. Now, as I unfold it, you'll notice that we have this really neat looking fringe. You could leave it like this, but what I'm gonna do is take it a step further just to give it a little bit more texture. I'm gonna refold. And now, just a couple of places, 3 or 4 places where I've made these cuts, I'm gonna use the existing line of the cut here, and I'm gonna make a second cut that's gonna look just like a really skinny triangle, and then I'm gonna remove. Okay, so I hope everyone can see there. I'll put it down against the black. So we just have a triangle here. Okay, I'm going to do that in 3 or 4 other places. Doesn't have to be equidistant, just anywhere that you feel like making a cut. All right, so we're going to do it there, there. Let me do one nice big one at the bottom here. Okay. Now I'm going to remove these. Now when I unfold, you'll notice that it's still a feather shape, but you have just a little bit of negative space that gives it a little bit more texture and helps draw your eye to it and make the shape of what it's supposed to be clear. All right, so I've got my feather ready. Now I'm going to move back to the 2 pieces that we cut from. I'm going to take off these edges just so that the shape is a long rectangle. It makes it a little easier to work with. We should only need 1, but you know, keep 2 pieces just in case you do. So whether you were using a pipe cleaner, your straw, your pen, whatever's going to be the stem of the feather, you're going to wrap with this paper. So I'm going to use the side with the most text, which looks like it's this one. So all I'm going to do is put the paper at a diagonal, and then I'm going to put the pen in the corner. I'm going to fold here, and I'm going to start rolling. So the idea is to cover the utensil completely. Now for me, I want the pad of my pen to be covered, but I want the actual pen tip to be functional. So all I'm going to do is line my scissors up with where I want the paper to end, and I'm just going to snip that off. Now, when I finish rolling, you'll notice that the end is exactly where I want it to be. Okay, so now I'm going to use my hot glue gun. If you didn't have hot glue, again, you could use tape, no problem at all. I'm just going to put a dab of glue on the inside of the edge here, and then I'm going to press to seal. My glue is a little smooshy today, but that's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to do the top as well. So because I want my pen completely covered, I put the paper above it so that there's a little bit of overlap. So all I'm going to do is bend it down and then just put a dab of glue on the inside. Fold it over so that it's covered completely. Okay, so I press so it's going to dry. Okay, so now I've got my feather piece and I've got my covered utensil piece. Now, the last step is going to be to put these 2 together. So I'm going to take my feather, and I want it to be underside face up, meaning if you look at this, it almost looks like a V, so that the fold is facing you. Hope that was clear. And then what you're going to do is you're going to place your utensil, whether it's the pipe cleaner or the pen, on the inside of the feather. I'm going to make sure that my pen tip comes below, for me right here, because I want to be able to use the grip. But if you had a pipe cleaner or if you had a straw that you didn't need your pen to be below the feather, you could place it higher up so that there's just a little bit of a feather stem there. So now all I'm going to do is place 2 dots of glue to adhere the pen to the feather. So just right here in the middle, I'm going to stick that there. And then right here at the bottom, I'm going to stick that there. Okay, so once you adhere and let it dry a little bit, you can kind of use your fingers to ruffle the edges, kind of create differentiation between those pieces, make it stand out a little bit more. Then you'll notice I have my very functional quill pen. Again, you could use these for any decorative purposes. I've seen them used for wreaths, for bookcase decoration, whatever your heart desires. I hope you enjoyed it, and please do share with us what you end up making. We love to see what you're crafting at home. Thank you all so much for joining, and have a great rest of your week.